Hi fight fans and welcome back to LL Sport TV. Hope you're all doing well today. So, over the last weekend, the word quit has once again entered the boxing lexicon in two very high profile world title fights. First, there was the Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois heavyweight world title fight at Wembley. I was at that fight. Alexander Usyk triumphing over Daniel Dubois by knockout in the fifth round. Many people thought that Daniel Dubois could have carried on, that he quit, that he got up at the count of 9, walked past the ref, went straight to his corner. Many people saw that as him quitting. Secondly, in that same weekend, Tim Tszyu of Australia, he was challenging Sebastian Fundora of America for the WBC light middleweight title. In that fight, Tim Tszyu was getting a bit of a pasting, and in between rounds 7 and 8, he quit on his stool, basically. He said, paraphrasing, but he said he'd had enough and didn't come out for the 8th round. Again, a lot of people said that he quit. Now, the idea of quitting in boxing has long been a very contentious topic in the sport. This is because on the one hand, you've got this boxing culture which has been built up over the years, the boxer being the ultimate tough guy, you know what I mean? And the idea of boxing being that ultimate contest of toughness, of never giving up. That classic imagery of a fighter who keeps going even when they're being battered and bruised and they can no longer stand, they carry on fighting. And to be seen as a quitter kind of goes against that whole idea of the boxer being the ultimate tough guy. To quit is being seen as betrayal of the boxing code. It's seen as a sign of weakness. However, and I mean, I'm going to try and debunk that in this video, but I think that whole, thing about quitting in boxing, I think the whole way of looking at this now is becoming outdated. And I think it's frankly quite dangerous, to be honest. Because to me, quitting in boxing is not the heresy it's made out to be. And I've got a number of reasons for saying that. And I'm going to try and articulate that now. I mean, first and foremost, let's acknowledge that boxing is a very, very dangerous sport. Probably the most dangerous sport around. I can't think of a more dangerous sport than boxing. I can't think of a sport where you get as many life-changing injuries. Certainly not combat sport anyway. Life-changing injuries, brain damage, fatalities even. Nothing even comes close to boxing, I would argue. So boxing is a brutal sport. It has significant long-term health risks, as I said, most notably CTE. So any boxer that takes, in my view, unnecessary prolonged punishment, to me, that is not being a hero. I think that's being rather foolish, to be honest, and you're putting your long-term future, or certainly your future health, at risk. Because every punch to the head, make no mistake, every punch to the head, particularly those sustained when a boxer is in a dazed state or unable to defend himself properly. Make no mistake, that has long-term damage attached to it. So any fighter that calls time in that situation is, in my view, making a smart self-preservation decision. They're basically choosing to fight another day or to live another day. I think it's that simple. Secondly, I think the role of the corner and the referee is important here. I think it's the role of the coach to protect the fighter. So any coach, any self-respecting coach that sees their fighter taking a one-sided beating with no apparent path to victory, I think it's incumbent upon them. I think they're obligated to call time on the fight, to stop the fight. Yes, there will be fighters that will argue that vociferously, impassionately. But at the end of the day, if you are the trainer, you are the coach, and you're in that corner seeing your fighter taking a beating, it's your responsibility to protect the fighter. Similar to the referee. The referee's right there in the middle of the action. He sees how the action is unfolding. Once he determines in his mind that that fighter is taking an unnecessary beating with no real possibility or likelihood of winning the fight, it's absolutely incumbent upon the referee to stop the fight and to protect the fighter. I think there's also a big difference between quitting and acknowledging that you've been outmatched or overmatched. I mean, a fighter that is losing badly, getting beaten up round after round, um, there's no point in this going on for too much longer. I mean, you'll be watching fights and round after round, a fighter is just taking punishment, and you think to yourself, what is the point of this? We've already established here who is the better fighter. To see him getting beaten around the head round after round after round, it's just nonsensical in my view. And yeah, that fighter needs to be pulled out, whether it's by the corner, whether it's by the referee, or maybe the fighter might decide for himself, as Tim Tszyu did. He just thought, you know what, nah, I've given my best already. I'm not good enough. I'm going to have to acknowledge that my opponent is better than me on the day, and I've given it my best, and that's it. There should be no stigma attached to that. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. That whole stigma about quitting for me is becoming outdated. Um, it's a kind of holdover from a time when boxers were seen in a different light. There's increased medical knowledge and growing awareness now about, you know, brain trauma, CTE, and all the rest of it. So this fighting till you drop mentality, I think is irresponsible. I think the sport has evolved, and I think the way we look at quitting or, you know, withdrawing from a fight, I think should be looked at in a whole different context. So yeah, I mean, that's my view on it, man. I mean, quitting in many instances, in my view, is a rational, professional, and health conscious decision. It's a choice that can preserve the fighter's future in the game or even his long-term health. And it's really that simple. So this idea that quitting in boxing is cowardice or weakness, I think that that is a vast overreach. And I think that it's about time we kind of reframe the whole issue of quitting and look at it in a different light. This thing about fighters going out on the shield and showing real courage, again, I think it needs to be looked at in a different light. We also need to take into consideration that not all fighters are the same. Not all human beings are the same. People have different thresholds of pain, different thresholds of tolerance, and, you know, I mean, the ability to withstand punishment. And we need to understand that more. We can't just judge every fighter the same. I would add to that as well that legacy isn't defined by a single fight or somebody quitting in a single fight. So, for example, Roberto Duran, Hall of Famer, legendary fighter, all-time great by pretty much everyone's estimations. He had the infamous no mass fight with Sugar Ray Leonard when he quit after about 7 rounds. He went on to do great things after then. And like I said, he's an established Hall of Famer, legendary fighter, and all-time great. Closer to home, Kell Brook, one of the best fighters, in my view, that we've produced in Britain over recent years. Many people thought that he quit against Errol Spence when he damaged his eye socket. I was there that night. Kell Brook is an excellent fighter, world champion. As I said before, one of our best fighters that we've produced in Britain over certainly modern years. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is quitting once does not define a fighter's entire career, whilst dying for pride might do. So yeah, that's my views on it. I don't think quitting should be looked at as a disgrace that it appears to be. And listen, there's that old adage about living to fight another day. I certainly subscribe to that. True warriors know when to keep fighting. A true warrior also knows when it is time to live and fight for another day. But that's my view on it. I'd love to know what you guys think. Please put it in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.